Hello, everyone. It's Jynell Petrosino, Integrative Health Practitioner Level 2 and personal trainer. I also like to identify as a gut health specialist. It is kind of my forte, it is my passion. A huge part of my story is overcoming many underlying gut imbalances that helped me to overcome my infertility and regain my health and lose a lot of inflammation and heal through a lot of autoimmune conditions. So that's a little bit about me, and why I'm so passionate about the gut. But it is something that I feel like I speak about more than anything outside of my family and my kids, because I'm so passionate about educating and informing people on everything that they need to know about their gut health, what it actually is, how their bodies function, and what you can do to really make a difference when it comes to your gut health. So, let's dive right in. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about what your gut microbiome is, and what lifestyle factors or factors within your environment throw it out of balance. And I think this is really important because I think that the word gut is a buzzword right now. Like we hear gut health this and probiotic drink that. And there's just a lot of hype around the gut, and I think for good reason, because a lot of imbalances in the body stem back to gut imbalances and or unaligned lifestyle habits that are not aligned with our health goals. But it's really important to understand exactly what gut health means so that you can ensure that you are doing all of the right things and all of the best practices for you as an individual to get your gut where it needs to be, get it back rebalanced and healthy, which will optimize many other areas of your life. So, ultimately, what is your gut? It's basically like a diverse community, just like the world that we live in, except it resides in your digestive tract. So, digestive tract starts at your mouth and it ends where you go to the bathroom. And believe it or not, between the two, there's like 20 plus feet of intestines and different organs that make up your digestive tract. Today, we're just going to kind of talk about the gut, which is like, small intestine. And that is comprised of, different bacteria and other microorganisms that actually play an important role in various processes in your body, like digestion, protecting your immune system, and even just like your overall health, hormone regulation, your mood. There are so many different things that your gut is, in charge of or plays a really crucial role in. And we're not going to get too involved in like what all those things are. But it's important that you know that it's a community and it is comprised of, it's normal to have bacteria in your gut. We have good bacteria and hopefully not a lot of not great bacteria. I'm going to dive into that a little bit more at a later date, sometime later this week. But I don't want you to hear like bacteria and microorganisms and think that that's crazy or weird or different, that we all have that. It's like there's a bunch of them in there. We just can't see them. And so, our gut health really significantly influences our immune system, which is really important to our overall health, right? So if you're somebody that gets sick a lot, or you even have like a little one in your home that gets sick a lot, you really want to kind of take a step back and look at their gut health and say, okay, what can I identify here? Is there anything that we can realign or adjust? But a healthy gut, helps to regulate our immune responses, promotes the production of antibodies that help to keep us safe and healthy, and also just supports the overall function of our immune system. And the way that it does so is that, basically our gut houses a lot of, or a significant portion of our body's immune cells, and acts as a barrier against pathogens. So, what does that mean? Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of your gut barrier or your gut wall or leaky gut, but obviously, you want to keep your gut strong because a big portion of your immune system resides in there. And if for whatever reason that gut barrier is compromised or is more permeable, that's a word that we use a lot in this field, then you're immune system's more susceptible to some of those more disturbing microorganisms to come in, and or for contents from within your gut to leak out into your bloodstream and cause systemic inflammation and or the development of chronic health issues, autoimmune conditions, and even food sensitivities. And so the way in which that happens, and I'm going to kind of talk to you about like 5 factors in your day-to-day life that impact your gut today, and that can cause it to kind of get thrown out of balance or cause your gut barrier to become a little more permeable, and not as protective of your immune system. But what ends up happening is there's gaps in your small intestine that allow for certain you know elements of your digestion to leak out into your bloodstream that are meant to, like your like proteins and glucose and various things that help bodily function. But what ends up happening is if those spaces get too large, then those other contents in your gut, like viruses, bacteria, food particles, the things that you don't want circulating, even toxins in your bloodstream can leak out into your bloodstream. And that's when your toxic burden gets higher and your body just kind of gets really confused and overwhelmed. So we obviously want to avoid that. And then also the gut significantly influences our hormone regulation as well, because it really plays a strong role in the production and metabolism of specific hormones like insulin and cortisol and estrogen. And you learned a lot about the hormones last week. So I know that you are mini experts on that now. But yeah, so the imbalanced gut microbiome can lead to different disruptions in your hormones that can impact your insulin levels, so your metabolism, your mood, and even your menstrual cycle. So just to kind of back up why, having a healthy gut is so crucial and important. It's not just so that you don't have those, unfriendly, uh, annoying digestive symptoms like gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. It's so that you know that the other processes in your body are being supported as well. And what a lot of people don't actually realize is that, gut imbalances don't always manifest as gut related symptoms. So, a lot of times the symptoms such as joint pain, skin abrasions, like rashes or eczema or hives and or symptoms like headaches can actually be associated with gut imbalances. So if you're somebody that's sitting here and you're like, well, I don't have constipation, I don't have gas, I'm probably fine. That's not always the case. I always will say to someone, if you have any chronic health issues, we really want to look at your overall toxic burden, which again, you went through your functional medicine detox last week. Great job. Hopefully you're feeling the benefits. But then also we really want to get back into the gut and make sure that everything is the way that it is supposed to be, that your gut barrier is strong, that you have a lot of beneficial bacteria. Beneficial bacteria is really important because it helps with the production of vitamins and other really important compounds for your health, even neurotransmitters. I'm sure you've heard of the gut-brain axis. You really need to have enough of that beneficial, good bacteria in your gut in order for the production of serotonin and dopamine to take place in the gut. And those are the neurotransmitters that impact your ability to feel happy and more at ease and more joyous. And then also even GABA and melatonin. GABA is what helps you to manage and regulate your stress levels and your anxiety. And then also melatonin obviously has to do with getting a good restful sleep. So we want to have those beneficial bacteria where they need to be. And we really just want to make sure that your body is digesting, that your gut is absorbing and digesting food, absorbing nutrients. You could be one of the healthiest people on the planet, but if you are not digesting your food and you're not absorbing the nutrients, then you're unfortunately not reaping the benefits. And that's why there are so many people walking around today that don't really align with or recognize that they do have a gut imbalance because they don't have digestive symptoms and they are eating healthier. But unfortunately, sometimes there are factors that are out of our control, that really impact our gut when we don't even realize it. And that's why it's so important to learn this information this week. So hopefully these videos and posts will bless you and your family and help you to recognize that, gut health should just be a daily practice, a yearly practice, just like anything else. So let's talk a little bit about the 5 factors that can actually throw your gut out of balance. So that you can kind of resonate and reflect and say, oh, is there anything that I'm doing currently that could put me in this category of somebody that maybe I really need to look further into my gut. And the hope is that this week, with what you learn here, that you will do so. So diet and nutrition by far plays an incredibly important role for your gut health. So if you are currently um, eating the standard American diet, this is not to call you out or to shame you, but it's definitely time to make some positive changes. Added sugars, processed foods, unhealthy fats can really negatively impact our gut health, and throw off the diversity in our gut. Obviously, beneficial bacteria are going to really enjoy and thrive off of fiber-rich foods. So, emphasizing, lots of fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains into your diet is a really great way to set yourself up for success with the beneficial bacteria recolonizing in your gut, even if you do have an imbalance, because the beneficial bacteria are just like us, like they need food and fiber is their favorite food. So when you're eating vegetables and you say, oh, I'm healthy because I'm eating a vegetable, now you really know why. Obviously, there's more reasons than one, but the gut bacteria that play a really huge role in your immune system, your hormone health, your mood, all the things that impact your day-to-day life, they need food and they like fiber. And so they're more likely to stick around with the fiber. And then unfortunately, the processed foods are usually highly toxic and contaminated with, ingredients that are not beneficial to your health, but also sugar can actually feed gut bugs. So if you do have gut imbalances at play and you're eating a lot of sugar, sometimes that's why you get sick more often or you don't feel as good after because you're actually feeding the, elements of your gut that we really don't want to be manifesting at all. So that's why just focusing on, a higher fiber diet and diversity is key. So if you're somebody like me and you struggle with diversity in your diet, this is a friendly reminder to myself, changing it up, lots of beautiful, colorful, fibrous fruits and vegetables in your diet is the best case scenario. The bacteria love variety. And yeah, so just to take a step back, another thing that's really important to understand about your gut is like you want a very diverse gut. So you want to have a bunch of different beneficial bacteria at lower amounts rather than unfriendly bacteria that are at high amounts or even one beneficial bacteria that's dominating and is the taking up all the real estate in your gut. You don't want that because then it makes less room for some of the other strains and bacteria that you really could benefit from. So the more diverse our diet, the more likely we're going to have diversity of the beneficial bacteria that we need. Okay. Next one is antibiotics and medication. This is not a medical claim. I am not a doctor and I am not making medical claims. However, just want to educate and inform yourself on the effects of antibiotics. Obviously, they have a time and a place. But it's important to really know that if you are utilizing antibiotics or over-the-counter medications like PPIs, NSAIDs, or even hormonal birth control, that you know how to support your gut because unfortunately those can be very detrimental. They could disrupt the balance of the gut microbiome. They could kill both harmful and beneficial bacteria. And also sometimes the contents in our gut, the bacteria in there can actually become antibiotic resistant. I have seen this multiple times in the last 2 months in the labs that I've ran in my practice, where people will become resistant to the antibiotics because they're using them so often. So they're not even really working as prominently as they once were. And that poses other risks, right? So, sometimes the antibiotics can also be associated with increased susceptibility to infections and diarrhea. So, like, for example, I just reviewed my son's actually gut bacteria, or stool test rather. And he has one bacteria in there that, like, if he were to use antibiotics, we would have to watch him pretty closely for an infection because they get more rowdy when you take antibiotics and cause more havoc inside of you. So this isn't to, cause you any fear or, to be afraid, but it's always important to ask your doctor and really come up with a good plan if you are using antibiotics, and or educate yourself on the many natural things that you could try before antibiotics. Like, again, not a medical claim, but like in our family, our kids have chronic ear infections, and we've learned how to support them naturally. In the last 6 ear infections, we didn't need antibiotics. Obviously, there's a time and place. Like I said, you always have to keep an eye out and speak to your physician about it. But it's just important that you educate yourself that yes, there are some more natural things that you can do, and then obviously when it comes to NSAIDs, there are more natural ways to deal with pain. There's essential oils and there's various different things. Speak to the practitioner that invited you here about what you can do for the various symptoms that you have, but there are so many things that you could, learn about and become educated on that won't affect your stomach acid or your gut flora in a way that will put detriment to your health. And the same thing about birth control. And I understand, everybody has their reason that they decide with their practitioner or their health um, advocate as to why they need something. But there are other ways too to naturally, prevent pregnancy if that's the reason one it would be using birth control, that you can learn and inform yourself on more natural ways to do the things that you're looking to do. So just be aware that some of those things can really cause detriment to your gut health, and that there are other things that you could possibly try. And then, of course, if you need them, right? Number 3 is stress and mental health. I cannot preach enough how regulating your nervous system plays a crucial, crucial role in your gut health. If you are, always stressed and overwhelmed and you're carrying bricks around on your shoulder, it can really impact your gut. Stress is actually just as toxic to your gut than like some of the toxins that we have in our foods. And it's just really, really difficult, as it can, affect your gut motility, which will impact, gut inflammation. And it can actually alter the composition of the gut bacteria that are present in your gut, because some of those may not be, as likely to be present if you're living in stressful conditions. So there are always things that you can do, like mindful practices, gratitude, prayer, meditation, getting out in nature, things like that, that can really be beneficial. And again, just circling back to like, if your gut is not where it needs to be, that can really impact your mood. And that's why gut health is directly linked to mental health. So just making sure that you are doing, best practices as far as nervous system regulation, and then getting to the root of your gut issues can actually help with, reducing stress and anxiety and helping with the production of those neurotransmitters that help you with your bodily function, your mood, your sleep, your anxiety, and all of that. So, hopefully you're following. Lack of physical activity is another one. So a sedentary lifestyle can really impact your gut health. Regular exercise and body movement. It doesn't have to be anything like crazy, like high intensity or anything, but moving your body can help with gut motility, and believe it or not, supports a diverse microbiome. And if you're getting outside to be active, double whammy, because the gut bacteria, you're more susceptible to be uh, exposed to beneficial bacteria when you get dirty and you're out in nature. It's actually really good for us. So grounding is a really good thing to do. But yeah, being sedentary can also, contribute to some of those undesirable, symptoms that relate back to the gut, like constipation, bloating, when we speak about gut motility and we're sitting around all the time, we're not really moving, that could actually impact our body's ability to excrete bowel movements. And speaking of the detox, like something that you really need to understand about that is that, having a bowel movement every day is super, super important. If you're not having a bowel movement every day, then your body is trying to tell you that it needs support and that there's underlying imbalances that need support. And so I always ask people right straight up, like, do you have bowel movement every day? It's like one of the first questions I ask potential clients, because it's like that tells us a lot. And no, it doesn't just come down to physical activity, but that can definitely help. So if you do have constipation, number one, good thing you're here. And number two, getting your body moving is a really great way to help with that motility and getting things moving here as well. So yeah, hopefully that resonates and makes sense. And then the last one is, sleep disruption. So if you're not getting a good night's sleep, I always say if you're not sleeping, you're not healing. And it could be really stressful on the body. It could lead to increased stress hormone, which is cortisol. And that in turn can impact the function of your gut microbiome. So in other words, that starts to impact like your body's ability to rest and digest. I don't know if you've ever heard that term, but your body does a lot of healing and a lot of work when you're resting. And so that process is impacted when you're not getting a good night's sleep. And there's actually like a bi-directional relationship between gut health and sleep, because an imbalanced gut can impact sleep as well. Because if you're getting up in the middle of the night and you have diarrhea or a stomach ache, that can be, something that impacts your sleep. And then vice versa, like not getting a good night's sleep can impact the integrity of the contents of your gut, like the bacteria that we speak of. And then also, like, we'll talk a little bit about what imbalances are like the most common ones in the gut at a later date. But parasites, I'm sure, by now, parasites are a possibility for all of us. If you ever drank water or have had a piece of fruit or a vegetable, then you are susceptible. If you have pets, you are susceptible like anyone else. A lot more common than people realize. But like, for example, um, parasites tend to be more active at night. That can obviously cause digestive like upset. And then also can also lead to other like frustrating symptoms like insomnia, and then even like teeth grinding at night. If you're somebody that teeth grinds or you bear your teeth down and you're kind of like, my stress levels are fine, my nervous system regulation is a part of my lifestyle, I don't know why I have this. It might be some gut bugs, some unfriendly gut bugs that we want to help support, get out of your body. So anyway, I just want to encourage you to be mindful of these factors and consider making small, teeny tiny positive changes toward improving your lifestyle habits, which directly impact your gut health. And obviously, it's not, recommended to change everything in a day. That's stressful in itself, but even just starting with your nutrition and or just starting with your stress management, like picking one thing to do today that will help ease your mind or take something off of your plate or improve your sleep hygiene so that you're not going to bed and taking your cell phone and watching screens until 1 a.m, or getting yourself moving and inching forward closer to those 10,000 steps per day will only put you in a position to better support your gut health or point you in the right direction. So obviously there's so much more to it, and I cannot wait to share more with you this week. But I just wanted to give you kind of like a little introduction into gut health so you better understand what the heck your gut is, what it is that throws your gut out of balance so that you can start making an active decision to make change starting today. And one thing I want to say is knowledge is power. So it's really great to hear this video and say, oh, this is great information, but applied knowledge is everything. So I encourage you to take something out of this video today and apply it, and then comment in the comments below to let me know what you did to inch you just a little bit closer to healing your gut and just optimizing your overall health in the name of your gut. Thank you so much for being here today. I look forward to sharing more with you throughout this week. Take care.